Thank you so much, Vice Chair, Honorable Ndikiri, who is also the Vice Chair of Housing Committee and also the Vice Chair of the Ad hoc Committee, for your very wise words. Mine will be very short before I hand it over to the Majority Leader for the next move. First and foremost, I want to say that we came to Parliament in 2013 with Johana Ngeno, and I knew him as a very young, very spirited, very focused, and more importantly, a very dedicated leader. Ngeno himself, immediately when he came in, was very good in whatever he was doing because he was a go-getter. Whatever many people have described him here, he actually did for his people what he wanted. Issues that he raised every other time. And because he was my friend, he would raise issues concerning land. In my county, the same things are there. And every time when I was issuing title deeds, Ngeno would ask me, how are you doing it? How can we make sure that our people get settled? And in some instances, he was asking, how can the people of Emirua Digir and the larger region of South Rift also have the same issues on land? I want to say, Johana Ngeno was a very great person. For those of us who served in the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th Parliament, you knew he came in through Kenya Social Congress. He came back to Kanu. And I remember his controversies when we were actually having a by-election in Kericho with Sudi, Keter, and him. He actually did a very spirited fight against the Jubilee administration. And he was saying, even if you are very many, we will give you a run for your money. Ngeno was not going to back down. And for those who know him, he was a fighter. Even if he remains alone, hata akibaki peke yake, he was fighting for a worthy cause because he was a man who picks what he speaks his mind and he will defend his cause. We have lost a leader who was actually very important to us. As a leader of the caucus and of the region, we have been going to various meetings with Ngeno across all the counties in Kenya, all the way from Trans Nzoia, all the way to even to central Kenya and even other parts. But he was having one word, the unity of purpose, the unity of this country. He was a tribeless person. Every other time, leaders always caucus on tribes or ride on tribes. But Ngeno rode on principle. Ngeno rode on focus on what he wanted these people to achieve. I would remember when we were talking about the Mau issue, because as a leader, I would even ask him to tone down. Then I was telling him, we are going to attain what you want. Let's move slow. And at times he would ask me, politics is not about religion. Melly, you look very religious. I told him, no, we'll attain what you want. And at times he would go to the head of public service, we would go to the president. But finally, when we managed to do the cut line and all the others with other leaders, he asked me, everyone has a way of achieving his goal. And I told him, yes, we have achieved. He told me, let's take a chopper to go run around the Mau region. I said, no, but we have done it. Ngeno was such a very wonderful person. I want to ask us, the leadership who are here today, let us run our politics in a more mature, more focused, and people-oriented politics to serve Mwananchi, not to serve ourselves. Ngeno was a great person. Ngeno was a leader who looked at Emirua Digir, who look at the larger Kalenjin nation, not for self, but for the prosperity of the people. I want to say that we have lost a great man. When he came to the house, especially when he came to the leadership, he brought the bills, the housing bills. The housing bills and the laws were very unpopular, but he stood with it. He moved across the slums and the houses that were constructed. He was the face of the housing projects. And if there was anybody who believed in Singapore, it was Ngeno. And we saw the skyline changing. You look at Kibera, you look at all the major cities in this country. Ngeno gave us what the president was yearning for. The housing of this nation, the shelter for the people, and making sure that Kenyans are going to sleep and stay in safe houses. So, to have a good house is not a privilege. It is not a privilege. It is a right enshrined in the constitution of this country. So I want to say that we've lost a great man. We've lost a person who was fighting for his people. We lost a person who actually loved art. Last December, I think Mandago and many of us in Eldoret, he actually brought a very big feast where we celebrated artists of all categories. Be they photographers, be they musicians, be they MCs. And every time within our region, when an MC or an artist has a function, Ngeno showed himself with support, with the team, and he perished in his talent of going to support the artist from Endebes, Kim. He visited everyone's constituency. I don't think there's any constituency within that particular vast region where Ngeno didn't visit. He came to Tindred many times. I went to Emurua Digiri many times. We even went as a leadership from that region to his home and had a lunch. People of Emurua Digiri, people of Kenya, we've lost a great person. I want to say, as I part, that the way Ndikiri said, let us remember Ngeno in one of the projects that we are doing. And I think the PS and the CS are able to do that. And we remember many Kenyans, even in our street names and many other things. He deserves that. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much, government. I want to single out the clerk for what he did by getting the bodies all the way from the bush, all the airlifting the families from Eldoret to Nairobi. And we made a decision as a committee, and I want to thank the Speaker and the Clerk of the House, that we are not going to separate these people in death. We are not going to give class. We brought all these bodies to leave funeral home. We brought, and the government accepted to pay for them. We are not going to say this is a member of parliament. This is who. We said in life and in death we are human. And that is what I want to thank the Minister for Interior, the government, and everyone else who accepted the decision of the committee that we are lift all of them from Eldoret, all of them to Lee. We shall do this mass for all of them. The government have accepted to pay the bills, and I want to thank you for that. And as we proceed for tomorrow and to the interment on Friday, we are going to treat this as one. And the head of state, the president, accepted that the government will bear the costs of all this. And I want to thank you, Deputy President, and the government for what you've done. You've made our work very easy as a committee, because we are now running very easily because we have the resources and ability to move. And tomorrow, I want to say that we shall be lifting the bodies from Wilson all the way to Emurua Digiri, so that we'll allow the community to talk and to be able to appreciate and give tribute to Ngeno and the team for the whole most of the day tomorrow. So that on Friday, because of the weather and the way the leadership will be there, we'll be able to have enough time to actually allow many other leaders to talk on Friday and give him a befitting send-off. I decided to tell you that because I know the family of the pilot have a separate program, but as a committee, a ad hoc committee appointed by the Speaker, we shall support you and make sure that we clear that particular program all through. They are yet to give us a date, the burial date, but most of the Ngeno and the team will be buried on Friday. And there's one young man who is from, what do you call him? Bomet, from Silibwet, is it? Yes, he will be buried on Saturday. But all that, we are going to make sure that everything runs smoothly and it will actually come to a conclusion. Thank you so much, the House. Thank you so much, the government, for the good work you've done. May the soul of Ngeno and the spirit reign supreme as we move on. Thank you. Let me invite the majority leader to proceed with the program.